Guangdong Tzu Chi volunteers visit impoverished families to evaluate their situations for winter aid. We look at how Tzu Chi helps Typhoon Morakot survivors rebuild their lives with the aid of local government. Welcome to Dai Headlines. I'm Margaret Lin. Thank you for joining us. In China, Guangdong was affected by the typhoon a while ago, with heavy winds and rains, but Tzu Chi volunteers worked non-stop to prepare aid for the impoverished families. The volunteers brought love and care to the families one by one, hoping to help them through the difficult times.
Tzu Chi volunteers pay visits to the impoverished families in Guangdong in preparation for the winter aid. Wuxi villager live a simple life.
有没有帮妈妈去田里面做事？没有啊。
After moving into the public rental housing provided by the government, the living environment of this low-income family has greatly improved. However, what's hidden behind the door is Miss Li's son, who fell ill since he was born.
I have been taking care of him for 27 years already since his childhood. He cannot tell people when he needs to go to the toilet. No one knows my family is like this. Everyone thinks that I have a normal family, and I don't want to tell people about this.
All villagers are proud to have a college student in the village.
口说好话，心想好意。
If you can say good words, think good thought, and do good deeds every day, I believe that you will have a bright future. It is true, you need to try it.
好不好？
我作为一个一直在城市里长大的孩子，然后呢，今天来到这个地方，然后看到了这么多。
I grew up in the city and was shocked to see a lot of sufferings today. Being born in such a good living environment, I have the responsibility to help more people who are in need.
有义务去帮助更多像一些比较苦难的人那样子。
The volunteers do not only help the impoverished materially, but also support them spiritually.
In Mexico, at the end of June, the Morelos Institute in Jojutla celebrated a groundbreaking ceremony towards the rebuilding of the school. One of the key persons in making all this happen is the architect Pablo. Let's take a look at his design philosophy.
Hola, soy Pablo Quintero Valladares.
I'm Pablo Quintero Valadres. I'm a Mexican architect and a bit of a musician, a cellist sometimes.
Mira, cuando era muchacho, tengo muchos...
When I was a kid, I had many interests and hobbies. When I finished high school, I realized that architecture encapsulated many of my hobbies, and music has always been my companion too. And what pleases me the most is when someone who lives in something I've built is content there.
On September 19th, 2017, we suffered a terrible earthquake. The walls of Morelos Institute crumbled. Our school, the Morelos Institute, has taught the youth of Jojutla for 73 years. And since the quake, we've begun the work of reconstruction, asking for help, looking for ways to continue with this labor of love. A student told me something that I'll never forget. Mother, the Morelos Institute may have fallen, but we are the school and we are here with you. We're going to have the courage to say, yes, we can.
Pues Tzu Chi, que tuvimos contacto con ellos, que ellos nos buscaron.
United in this thought, we came into contact with Tzu Chi. They found us and we began to get to know each other. They said they would collaborate to build the school and fulfill the dream of furthering education for both children and youth. The only thing we wanted was to help the students.
Permita seguir ayudando.
So shall we
So
begin?
we can
Yeah.
begin our meeting.
To work with Pablo, the more you work with him, you realize he's elegant and his passion and naturally all the talents, all kind of a feature of his personality reflect to the design. Me to come, we work together like a team. You're already one of us. So
La idea es en realidad bastante sencilla.
In reality, the idea is really simple. There is this plot of about 4.9 acres. I drew an axis between the chapel and the library. And as meaningful buildings, the chapel would serve as the space for spiritual life, and the library as the space for the intellectual. In a symmetrical way, we have the great schools. To the north of this axis, we have middle and high schools. And here, to the left, we have preschool and primary schools. Finally, flanking the chapel, we have on one side the auditorium and on the other, on the lower level of the cafeteria, and the nuns' quarters above.
¿Por qué se cayeron muchos edificios? Bueno,
Why did so many buildings fall? Well, there are several reasons. For one, they were in poor condition, poorly maintained, misused, and poorly constructed. A certain way of movement establishes a period, a frequency. So the structure's design should be made in such a way that it never coincides with the ground's vibration. That's very important.
eso es muy importante. Digo que como actor soy pésimo en esto, ¿no? ¿Ah? ¿Listos? Soy un convencido del...
I'm convinced in the value of academia in the sense that it furthers education. It's a privilege and a great opportunity to contribute to our youth's education. I thought about it as an option for my students because they are advanced. So at the beginning, we started building housing, and then later I said, okay, let's make a school as something a bit more complex.
Es complejo.
It's a combination of everything. It's a mixture of everything. Because really, in the last 6 months, I've connected with people from Thailand, the Americans, Canadians, the French, something I never expected.
Las monjas dicen, no puede ser.
The sisters say, it cannot be. They are very surprised. They say, how could this organization be? I tell them, look, they don't have political or religious boundaries. What do you think? It's just incredible. We are surprised.
Sueño con un Instituto Morelos.
I dream of a Morelos Institute that becomes a big family house where people from Taiwan, Tzu Chi, Mexico, and everywhere can feel this is home, where the teachings of goodwill continue for the children and youth of Jojutla, who in the future can help more people.
I told the students, it doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. If you're Buddhist, Protestant, or Muslim, there's no problem. What's more interesting is the unheard of collaboration between different religious entities.
In life, there are no coincidences. I call them godoinces. You can call them whatever you want.
It's because we are with others, and it's better to be in this world with others. And instead of putting up barriers, tearing them down, something's happening here, and that to me is marvelous.
It has been 10 years since Typhoon Morakot brought severe devastation to Taiwan in 2009. In our next report, we look at how Tzu Chi joined hands with the local government to help rebuild the lives of the typhoon survivors.
特别是山区的降雨，几乎是一直持续进行。
我们也分不清哪边是路面，哪边是河面了。
它后面的就是岐山溪，这个大雨呢，让岐山溪的溪水一直倒灌。我们可以看到。
这边关哦，要注意啦，赶紧上大呀。8月7号。
On August 7th, the amount of rainfall was very large. There was driftwood everywhere. It was so horrible.
During Typhoon Morakot, the coast of Pingdong was the first to flood. Then the Shangyuan Bridge in Kaohsiung collapsed, and the Jinshuai Hotel in Taidong's Zhiben fell into the river. However, the bad news from the mountainous areas in Kaohsiung was what broke many people's hearts. Some typhoon survivors stand on the broken bridge, ask for help with a large sign, but nobody has yet to receive news from Jiaxin's Xiaoling village.
But then, the mountains seem to have collapsed, covering the entire village in a dust storm.
When the mudslide started, the residents could only try to escape it. On the other side of the mountain, Liugui had the same horrifying situation.
Upon seeing the mudslide, I was frightened and felt dizzy. A large mass of rocks and mud rushed to me, and I was washed away.
On the day, the crashing sound of earth and stone was like the roar of the mountain forest. At the time, it was difficult for the Flying Eagle rescue team who returned from their rescue in Pingdong to get back to their headquarters in Liugui.
The water level was terrifying. We took a National Army helicopter and went straight to Xinkai.
The total amount of rainfall within those 3 to 4 days was as much as that for 1 year, taking away the lives of more than 600 people. The mountains collapsed with the roads and bridge badly damaged.
安的人呐，要赶快动员起来，去投入呢，帮助泡过水的家庭。
Tzu Chi volunteers from all over Taiwan work alongside the affected residents and National Army to help. Many organizations and students also join the disaster relief efforts. The disaster areas can be restored, but how to rebuild destroyed homes?
像这样的山体已经呢，伤的那样的，伤痕累累。你现在人不要去打扰它，也不要再去动了它，让它呢。 长时间来养息。
For areas that are sacredly habitable, the residents should move away from their original location under the mechanism of the National Spatial Planning.
After the governments decided to let the mountain rest and repair itself, Tzu Chi Foundation also started to collaborate with the local governments to build permanent houses.
When we felt helpless, Master Cheng Yan dispatched Tzu Chi Foundation Vice President Li Bingyu to tell us that Tzu Chi would help build permanent houses. I felt thankful. In the beginning, everyone felt frightened by the disaster. Even after we were settled, it wasn't until we heard Tzu Chi was going to help us build permanent houses did we feel happy.
The first permanent housing base was selected at the Yuemei farm in Shanlin. Each day, thousands of volunteers worked together with the residents to complete the task within 88 days. The miracle of 88 working days wrote a new page in history, inspiring many people after the disaster. Starting from the Shanlindai village and after Typhoon Morakot, Tzu Chi has built permanent housing in Tainan and Kaohsiung respectively, 4 places in Pingdong and 6 places total in southern Taiwan. Over the past 10 years, people from all walks of life have lent a helping hand to the affected residents, providing them with love and warmth, as well as helping them overcome the sorrow of the loss in a disaster. TIMA has been conducting free clinics and medical home visits in Ruifan, New Taipei City for years. Thanks to the participation of the local volunteer team, the clinic was very successful. This is the biggest one. This is the Reisan coal mine. My husband is Zhen Shixiong. He worked here at a time I was raising 6 children and my mother-in-law. The whole family relied on him. He did not wear any clothing for charcoal. So when he came out, you wouldn't even be able to recognize it was him. You can only see 2 eyes left. He was covered head to toe in black charcoal. The conditions were really bad. I feel bad for him. However, realistically speaking, if he didn't go work in the pit, the whole family would not survive. If he goes, it's only one that might not survive.
I haven't even entered elementary school yet, and my father was diagnosed with cancer. In order to feed all 4 of us children, he had no choice but to go work at the mines. It was around 3rd or 4th grade when there was a serious mine incident. I was very nervous, because if the trolley brought up someone, then you would have to start to identify who it is. I would be looking to see if it was my father or not. It was a mixture of emotions between hope and despair. I finally saw my father, but then I also saw my classmate crying.
In Ruifang coal mine's prime, as far as I know, the most people at that time was around 50,000 to 60,000 people. Nowadays, there are only about 20,000 people still remaining. That's about 2/3 reduction in population. This is because all the young people left the area to go work in other places, leaving behind all the elderly people.
因为我就是30多年前在这边工作之后，就变成瑞芳的女婿。
实际上是我们的故乡啊，对这个土地有一份感情了。我是矿工的女儿，所以我对她的感情很深厚。我喜欢这里。
I'm confirming if all the information is correct. This is our medical home visit route. We have 6 people today. These are all the care recipients' files. Let's check if they are all correct or not.
Taking the TEMA team to go visit our care recipients.
Lin Zhenming is the first certified Tzu Chi commissioner of Ruifang. She is a must on the medical home visit route. It's a normal visit to come see her. She's always our first stop, her being Ruifang's first seed of love.
Actually, in the very beginning, he was in a really bad situation. He used to drink and smoke. Now, with our encouragement, he has finally quit smoking.
你几年厝？
几年厝？52啦。
52，是偶尔会小喝一点。
小喝一点是用鼻胃管喝。哦，没有。对，因为甲你用心关怀吼。叫伊莫食薰，莫啉酒啊，就是请查某啊。
他们的矿工宿舍，左边这2栋都是，还有右边这一栋都有我们的个案。
啊，你今年几岁啊？55。55吼。
其实是18年次，他今年算90岁。
啊，你甲你娘会后一个吼。啊，无去到台北吼，无做啊。
没办法做，伊个骹无够力，你看伊个肌肉拢吼萎缩去啊，足瘦的嘛。
嘿，你唱只歌。安怎？
阿妈都说伊袂晓唱啊。
系啊，
啊，伊拢会一首接着一首。
你基本上你只要几若看红啊吼，然后转过来，我就转过，嘿，啊来，好，啊好，啊你即马是讲花遮？
花遮。
炒咧，我互你安行，慢慢行，嘿安尼。
你有爱你妈妈无？真的吼。会。
After all, what volunteers can do are still limited. The best course of action would be for the family members to be on board and establish a loving relationship within the family dynamic. That would be the ultimate goal.
In Taichung, a senior who lives alone usually relies on scavenging for a living. Her habits of hoarding led her home to become in a mess. Even she would rather sleep on the road or next to the ditch. After learning about this, Fengjia Borough Chief asked Tzu Chi for help. Let's take a look at how Tzu Chi volunteers help solve the problems.
你今麦做啥物？
我今麦要来路口当迄个提分数。
哦，你用这部的哦，惊巧呢。
啊，无那个搬几步呢？哎呦喂！
In such cold weather conditions, how is she just doing that, with her legs bent and just laying there?
She's always sleeping outside. She often scares people, you know.
She can sleep while sitting lying down, right next to the busy road, even on top of the sewage covers.
The people in the building came to tell me that they were going to force her out for being such a bad neighbor. I pitied her. It was her home. The house was purchased by her. However, they wanted her out, but then she would have nowhere to live. So I thought, let me go ask for Tzu Chi's help in dealing with this situation, see if it's possible to slowly talk some sense into her.
She had so much recyclable goods piled up in her home that it was impossible for her to live inside. People were also saying that she would just openly urinate and defecate anywhere near here.
The first time visiting here, seeing all the recyclable goods piled everywhere, it was quite a sight. I thought to myself, wow, how is it possible for such a small grandmother to collect so many items? It's piled higher than 180 centimeters adult.
If we only come to help her clean once in a while, it would be the equivalent of a cleaning brigade that has no real meaning behind it. However, a couple of days before we came back to clean, it kept on raining. And since the grandma cannot physically sleep inside her own home, she was bound to sleep under just the roof covering part. When you see an elderly in that kind of condition, it's really heartbreaking. Everyone would have the same reaction, just heartbreaking.
这床上原来是堆满东西。
对啊，都没办法睡啊，堆到门口啦，人睡到屋外去了。
You see, she's doing a lot better now. She's keeping it quite clean still. All volunteers took a long time scrubbing the walls clean.
会当洗身躯啊啦，我昨下就给他洗头。
迄原本你嘛是做些物件，你迄边袂当洗身躯啊。
现在也袂使，今仔会使，今仔变身躯会使。
嘛有所在通困啊吼。啊，无有时阵你是人捡的物件，你嘛食哦。你嘛食哦。
你看好的物件，我会拿袂食。
我问你为什么爱才过来捡回收？
无捡无分人吃。你这样讲，你有钱袂使啊？你这忙闲都袂该辛辛苦苦。啊，房子也不能咬，也不能吃。在看个案的时候，2252块，啊是你要咱住的。
案主呢，今年已经75岁，他有。
She has 2 sons. We're hoping that maybe later on it will be possible for her children to be by her side, to come back and care for her. This still needs a lot of work and communication. We will continue to stay in contact with them and see if we can slowly reduce the distance between the mother and her adult children.
Children who took part in a summer camp in Mona's, California, learned Tzu Chi's humanistic culture through various activities and games. That's all the time we have for today. Goodbye.